Hey guys, this is just a quick one as we're really busy at the moment, but this video is going to dig into one key aspect of the Jay Slater case that raises significant questions around the timeline and credibility of evidence provided by Aub Kasim. We're zeroing in specifically on the 2 bottles of Henny quote, Brad's urination issues on Monday evening, and the suspicious car video showing Rocky asleep in Masca, and how potentially it could have been taken Monday evening or early Tuesday morning. No speculation, just looking at the inconsistencies. First, the phrase 2 bottles of Henny. This exact phrase appears twice, once reportedly from Jay in a video presented by Aub, supposedly captured early Monday morning at the Masca Airbnb. Then, suspiciously, Kasim himself repeats the same phrase later on Monday evening during the search for Jay, referring explicitly to Brad and his friend's intoxication. 2 separate instances, identical wording. That's not a common phrase to randomly echo. It's specific, distinctive, and suggests confusion or possibly intentional manipulation. Second, let's look closely at Brad. On Monday evening, we know from screenshots that Brad was involved in a search for Jay around 1:40 a.m. Tuesday morning, during which he was reportedly struggling to urinate, a known side effect of ketamine use. Medical facts tell us ketamine's urinary retention effects typically last around 3 to 6 hours after ingestion. While we don't know exactly what time the group drove through the tunnel, Brad's symptoms occurring this late suggest he likely consumed ketamine closer to that time, well after Jay had already disappeared, not just early Monday morning. Why is this timing significant? Because it creates a real question around the authenticity of Aub's video. Aub claimed the video showing Rocky asleep in the car and featuring a northern voice, allegedly Jay, referencing 2 bottles of Henny, was captured early Monday morning before Jay disappeared. Yet, we've seen absolutely nothing verifying this timestamp. No metadata, no visible time indicators, nothing. Here's the key issue. Brad, who shares a similar northern accent to Jay, was intoxicated and present late Monday evening into Tuesday morning during the search. Could this video, said to be recorded at the Masca Airbnb, have actually been captured during that same period rather than early Monday morning as Aub claimed? We now know Brad and Brandon were likely at the Airbnb that night as well. Without verified timestamps or any visual confirmation of Jay, there's no concrete way to confirm when the video was made or who is actually speaking. Adding to this, we've heard elsewhere that Brandon and Rocky were seen on the strip during Monday afternoon and evening, despite Jay having gone missing that same morning.
This isn't speculation. It aligns with Aub's own words later in the podcast when he says, "I took Brandon and Lucy out looking for Jay," referring to their late-night drive. If they'd been out on the strip earlier in the day socializing, then only later taken out in Aub's car, the timeline becomes even more problematic. Were they really searching with urgency? Or was this just a chaotic night of intoxication dressed up after the fact as a search effort? This casts further doubt on the timing and authenticity of the video Aub presented and the seriousness of the group's behavior that evening. Moreover, consider the setting. Rocky sleeping in the car and someone intoxicated referencing 2 bottles of Henny. This could just as easily reflect the scenario, late Monday evening into early Tuesday morning, when Brad and others were known to be intoxicated and involved in a late-night search for Jay. Given this context, the video in question could plausibly have been taken in the early hours of Tuesday, rather than the chaotic and rushed early Monday morning timeline when Jay was last conclusively accounted for. This was the evening following the festival. Drinking did continue, according to Kasim's own words, which reinforces the possibility that the video reflects that later timeline. And now the crucial part. Supporting evidence. In the podcast, Aub Kasim recounts a very telling moment during the search effort. Describing the state of Brad in the tunnel, Kasim says, "Lad, fuck it. They're like, that's that 2 bottles of Henny, lad. And then they were just doing my head in." This wasn't speculation, it was Kasim's own direct quote, recorded during a real-time account of events. But what's particularly disturbing is the context. Brad, whose supposed best friend had gone missing that same day, was so intoxicated he couldn't even urinate, stumbling around in a tunnel during what was meant to be a search effort. Instead of urgency or concern, Kasim paints a picture of chaotic partying, with Brad and others behaving erratically. Tell this fucking idiot, get back in the car. We're in a fucking tunnel. One of your mates yesterday walked away because he's fucked off with the ket and he went missing. That mate was Jay. And this moment suggests a chilling lack of seriousness about his disappearance. The fact that Brad was clearly still intoxicated so late into Monday night or early Tuesday morning strongly implies he had been partying that day, even though his best friend had gone missing that morning. This isn't just an oversight, it reflects a disturbing disconnect between the gravity of the situation and the behaviour of those closest to Jay. If Brad was capable of getting high again that night, it raises serious questions about the sincerity and integrity of any search he participated in. If Brad was under the influence to that degree, it raises serious concerns not just about the authenticity of their evidence, but also their priorities and motives during those crucial hours. Finally, consider this. What purpose would such a misleading video serve? One reason could be to place Jay convincingly at the Airbnb in Masca early Monday morning, reinforcing Ayub's version of events, while obscuring what truly happened later in the day. Given the remote, isolated nature of Jay's last known GPS coordinates around Barranco Juan Lopez, conducting a search at 1:40 a.m. in total darkness seems improbable as a genuine search effort and more plausible as cover for another activity entirely, perhaps retrieval or concealment of something important. To sum it all up clearly, Brad's urinary issues suggest ketamine use later in the day, not early Monday morning. The exact phrase 2 bottles of Henny appearing at 2 very different times raises red flags. There is no verified timestamp or video proof tying the clip to Jay at Masca in the early hours. Kasim's own account confirms that Jay's friends were intoxicated during the time they claimed to be searching, which damages their credibility. These aren't wild claims, they're logical concerns grounded in verified timelines, medical evidence, and behavioral inconsistencies. This isn't about accusations, it's about clarity. And right now, clarity is exactly what's missing from Ayub's narrative. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below.